Hello and welcome to the webinar Wellbeing and Resilience in Trying Times, and we are delivering this webinar as part of the first day of the first ever National Network of Parent Carer Forums and Contacts National Annual Conference. So I'm Sue Menier, I'm one of the participation advisors for Contact, and the webinar is going to be delivered today by Karen Hoe, who is a steering group, national network steering group member. She's also the coordinator of the North East Links Parent Carer Forum, and of course a parent carer herself. So if I can just hand over now to Karen.
Thank you, Sue. Hi, and thank you everybody, and welcome for joining us here tonight. So we're going to go straight away into this webinar session, and just to make sure and check you are all awake on this evening session. So Helen, if I can ask you to launch the poll, please, and we'll get started straight away with a quick poll. Thank you.
I can let you know that we have 59% of our audience today state that absolutely, of course, they're dressed. 20% are in professional on top and PJs on the bottom. 10% literally just changed, and 12% say normal clothes, what are they? And 0% of our audience today have been in their PJs all day.
That's great. That's lovely. Thank you very much for doing that, everybody. And interesting to see.
I forgot to say, Karen, for people to have their chocolate ready. I'm ready. We said this is a resilient webinar with chocolate, so I hope everyone's got their chocolate ready.
You beat me to it. Thank you, Sue. Thank you. Right. Okay. So tonight's session we're going to look at is a session about resilience, well-being, and naturally chocolate, as Sue just reminded me. So what the session is going to cover tonight, we're going to look at some of the current challenges and the traps to avoid, looking at the importance of taking care of yourself, learning to live in the present, and of course, including chocolate. Some quick techniques to look at de-stressing and to refocus your thinking, and also looking at recharging your inner mojo. So just a reminder that tonight is about you, not about the kids, your children, the young ones, the people that you care for. Tonight is all about you. So hopefully we're going to look at giving you some chance to down tools to sit down and relax for an hour, looking at maybe some reflection and some relaxation techniques. And hopefully this is just going to be a refresher to look at how you deal with things going forwards. So looking at the impact of COVID, obviously this year has been a massive challenge for a lot of us, trying to look at obviously how we manage these things. So I'm going to touch on some of the things that obviously we know naturally have impacted on a lot of us. So looking at the logistics of things, looking at the logistics of obviously getting food, having to struggle to get online food shopping, medications, looking at obviously the supplies that you have to get, how you actually have to get those, how you have to depend on other people if you've been shielding. Looking at the disruption of education, this has been a huge impact on people where they've had to turn to home educating, our children not responding well to that at times, or not understanding getting that homeschool environment is different to the learning environment in the classroom, as well as us having to learn to be teachers as well. All those cancelled meetings, medical appointments, the frustrations and anxieties that we've had in terms of what happens now if we don't have that direct contact, we don't have the care and support of our consultants and paediatricians, longer waiting lists, you know, all those building up anxieties we've had to encounter, as well as this whole new language, obviously shielding, isolating, social distancing, learning how to keep safe. What does shielding mean? How do we interpret it? Everybody has different opportunities and different experiences of shielding, and also the impact of sharing limited spaces at home. This has made a huge impact to a lot of families where people having to work from home, where mums and dads having to share office space or dining room table space or spare rooms, bedrooms, working out of different rooms that you don't usually do, as well as the kids having to realise that, you know, their home is no longer a home, it's either a learning place or a workplace, and it's not fair on the kids, you know, they like to, it's their place to joy, a place to play, place to relax and have fun, and having to keep quiet because you're on a Zoom call has been, you know, it's very challenging for them all. Also that look of economic impact, reduced income, lost income, if some of us have had to lose work or have work reduced, or the furlough schemes, obviously these have had massive impact on all of us. Also that loneliness factor, that loneliness factor of isolation, being on our own, not being able to meet friends, not having the support of your friends, your family, your carers. Looking at the disruption of your usual support networks, having to learn to operate online or have different ways of trying to connect with people. Also looking at how you have to access the internet. Everybody's had to learn how to use this new technology, maybe sharing laptops if you're having to work, or tablets or devices in the household. Also, there's new demands of all this home learning, having to keep up to schedules, having to keep guidance up to date, having to juggle your workload about having to home educate as well. There's lots of new decisions that we've had to make. Things like returning to school. Should they return to school? Is it safe to return to school? What's the factors affecting? Are the school able to keep the distance? Do they have to wear masks, gloves? All the decisions and factors, and then extra anxieties that we've had to take on board over this last 6 months. As well as supporting your own and your children's mental health. All these huge changes where we've not known what's happening from one day to the next. Everybody's whole worlds and lives have been turned upside down, and for a lot of our children that are dependent on routines and schedules, it's been very, very challenging, to say the least. So looking at the impact of COVID has had with children with special education needs and disabilities as well, on top of everything we just mentioned. Some of these things I think you can possibly all relate to, these things that we're juggling. Do you want your child to go back to school, but they say they can't have their usual one-to-one or the TAs because of the challenges of having to limited capacity in schools? What impact will this have on transport to college, having to maybe share different vehicles, different bubbles, how to manage supporting children, understanding that they're not going to have the same people, possibly the same drivers. Respite has all stopped, I think, in most counties where we desperately need a break, where we've possibly had to furlough carers as well, those that do have those direct payment support workers, but respite centres are shut, so obviously we're all frustrated and burnt out possibly. Annual review meeting is due, but no one's available, or it's being done online, or technology is not working. Things obviously the kids need to be quiet while they log on to a Zoom meeting. We all have the distractions of Zoom meetings now of obviously kids or animals or cats, that real life lived experience going on in the background, which can be quite challenging when you've got an important phone call to make. All this new guidance we need to get our heads around. You know, we need time to do it, but you can't concentrate with all the distractions at home. Different things that maybe you need to set up a speech and language therapist, and so on and so on. The list just goes on, and it's very hard to keep on top of it all. So on top of this as well, resilience is even more important if you're actively involved in a forum too. So some of the extra challenges on top of what we just mentioned as well, that come in daily, probably hourly sometimes if it's a very active forum. Obviously you have to read minutes of short breaks meetings. Maybe there's a forum committee meeting that you need to organise. There's a social media post that's come in that's maybe had some negative activity that needs to be addressed, challenged and arranged how to discuss to react to that. Local authorities just published an unlawful transport policy. Maybe the forum need to support it and obviously see why they've challenged it or why they said the forum support it when you clearly don't. Maybe your forum chair has had an accident all of a sudden. Everybody needs to re-jump and juggle their priorities around. You've been asked to step up and obviously your challenges and priorities workload suddenly increase. Good old time of March, April time that we all love to hate. That grant monitoring time is overdue, but the Treasurer's off sick, so how do we start and manage that? The forum conference is in 2 weeks, and the venue's just cancelled. All that planning priority you've been doing for the last few months leading up to it, obviously you have to suddenly drop everything and juggle that one. And those are obviously under local area inspections. Your written statement of action is posted online. Local authorities not sent the forum an appropriate response, so obviously you need to react to that. And again, so on and so on. So obviously all your daily home challenges we've had on top of the roles and responsibilities and workloads that come with the forum. This is just overloading and overwhelming sometimes. And also bearing in mind that many of you are doing this volunteering unpaid in your own limited time. The stresses and pressures obviously can be huge, which we fully recognise. I'll just let you read that a moment. So this obviously can be very relatable, information overload. I know I feel like that half the time in my house. So let's take a look at what is resilience. So resilience obviously is like the rubber ball factor. Do we have the ability to bounce back no matter what life throws at you? It's also the ability to cope with stress, challenges, problems and setbacks, things that you meet in your life or your role within the forum. And also let's have a look at some resilience skills and qualities that may help you bounce back and carry on. So resilience, at times, it can help us cope with life challenges. So sometimes, obviously, we have so much stuff to deal with, and add on top of this our stresses of COVID. Obviously, it's very hard to know how to react at times. Inevitable part of life, I'd like to say here, is dealing with the change, the stress, and the difficulties. At some point in life, everyone's experiences vary, degrees of setback, and it's all about how we bounce back and deal with these. Some of these challenges may be relatively small, while others could be disastrous and huge on a bigger scale. So how we manage or deal with these life challenges or problems can impact on our own health and well-being. And stuff obviously builds up, you get stressed out, and too much stress can build up and end up to overload and burnt out and crisis point. So let's take a look at how we can manage and look at things maybe a little bit differently. So let's have a look at some questions to help you reframe your situation. So you have an issue. Let's have a look at how that is perspective. How big is the actual problem that's confronting you at the moment? How important is it? Is that going to matter in a few hours, a few days, in a few weeks, or possibly in a few months? How much of your energy and time does this problem or issue need to absorb and take up? Proportional. So how big is your reaction to this issue? How do you need to react? Do you go to your automatic default setting and panic? Or is it something you can actually sit down and digest and take some time to prioritize, absorb it and think before you actually react and make any rash decisions? And think about the possibility. Is this something you can actually change? Can you change how you work this? Can you change how you react to this? Can you actually change what the problem is? Can you actually learn from this at all? So what can you actually potentially resolve by how you actually look at how we react to these things? So a lot of the times you immediately go to your reactive or proactive setting. So it depends on obviously how you do things, but it's time to take some time out and just step back and actually look at that problem, actually just see how big is it? How should you react? Is it going to make a big difference? And what can you learn from it? If you take a look at this picture here as well, what do you actually see? Do you actually see the rabbit or do you see the duck? It's all about how you look at things. Everything will look differently to everybody. Another tip at looking to you is obviously something that we use in the DARE resilience model, which we'll cover at the end. So this is the circle of control. If you look in the middle of this direct middle here, so this obviously is in your direct control, what you can actually direct control within your role with the forum, that you have a massive impact on what you can control. You then got your middle circle here. So this is obviously what you can see you can influence. What you can influence, what you can maybe delegate, what you can work on separately. You can delegate to other people in the forum within this, or different areas that you can influence and impact upon. And the outer circle is something that is directly out of your control, out of your influence. So do you actually need to be giving it your time and your energy? Look at also the things that you can make a difference on, the things that you can impact and you can work on that are relative and that are proportional. Things on the outer circle here, sometimes you just need to reprioritize and let them go. So looking at the wheel of your role in the forum, there's various different aspects of our role within the forum members in terms of what we do. There's different aspects of your work in terms of how we operate on your workload, different roles and responsibilities within your forum. Look at how much time do you actually split between the different parts of your role. How much time do you delegate to the important, the non-important, the ever-growing list of emails, or how you react to different things? Look at what takes up most of your time. Where do you spend most of your time when you're working? What takes up most of your time? What role or aspect of your workload takes up most of your time? What's your least favourite part of the role? I think there must be something there that you don't enjoy doing. So what is your least favourite part of it? Is that something you can do? Can you delegate? Can you learn from it? Can you do it differently? Is it something you can work together with somebody else? And look about what gives you the most stress. What part of being in the forum gives you the most stress? Can you actually pinpoint it down? Can you analyse it? Can you decipher it? Can you actually work at looking how you do things differently with that? And also look at what elements do you enjoy? What keeps you motivated? What keeps you coming back for more? What keeps you actually attached to the forum and to the people that you've obviously come to grow to work with, that become your friends and your colleagues? So think about looking after yourself. We get so drawn into the work of the forums, the work that we do. We're so passionate about it, all that we do. But sometimes we do get into that taking on too much. We take on too much workload and we take on too much time. It's okay to say no to people. As much as we say we want to say yes all the time, and it's okay to step out to say no. Got to realise as well that it's okay to take a break. It's okay when you're at burnout. It's okay to say enough is enough. It's vital you have those communications and connections within the role of the forum with your different colleagues and friends that you work with. It's okay to say no. And also looking obviously at teamwork. Obviously you're there together to work as a team. You know, you need to support each other, which I'm sure that we all do, but we need to understand each other, what's going on in each other's lives. And make opportunities to have some fun, and don't just make it all forum work every time you talk to someone, you pick up the phone, or you're on a Zoom meeting, or you're talking to people. Take some time out to actually understand what's going on within your forum members. You know, talk about non-forum things, organise some weekly or monthly chats to talk about each other, what's going on in each other's lives, what's going on with the kids. Can you offload with your forum members? Can you share problems? Can you chat? It's good to be there for each other, as we often forget the people that we work with as well. I think some of us have seen that slide quite a few times flying around on different social media as well. But it's quite mindful as well to remind ourselves, up to this year has brought us many challenges. We've had to learn how to live differently, how to work differently, how to adjust and how to adapt. But however, there's also been some really valuable lessons that we've learned as well in terms of reprioritising what is important in life, probably slowing down a little bit and obviously just taking things a little bit more for granted. So we're going to take a little look at the stress. Let's have a look at how we can analyse stress a little bit and just understand this a little bit. So this slide here obviously represents our caveman ancestors, and this is where humankind came to evolve in terms of understanding the stress factor, in terms of our caveman ancestors, that onset, that potential danger, the saber-toothed tiger fighting the caveman there, where your stress elevation there, where you're going to be running away from a situation, obviously is going to be huge. So we're going to take a little look at the fight and the flight, and also the freeze. So the fight, obviously, when you're in stress, is usually your body's naturally default setting. So when your body goes into that state of stress, you may feel agitated, aggressive towards others. You can be quite defensive. Your natural reaction is to go into fight mode. Now, sometimes this can be quite helpful in certain situations to ward off predators, but it can also be very negative in different situations towards friendships and family or reputations as well, if you're always on that fight mode. So also the flight mode, the different reaction. Sometimes some of us avoid our stresses, remove ourselves from that situation. Instead of tackling it, we run away from it. And that situation then continually builds up and builds up and builds up, where your flight survival instinct, it can be a function that can save temporary life at that situation and take you away from that situation that you're running away from, but eventually that's going to escalate and build up, where you're going to have to stop and face your problems and deal with them. That also comes with all your increased stress levels. When you realise that this stressor isn't going to go away, you need to face it. And then we also have the freeze syndrome. So unbeknown to many, there is that third mode of freeze stress. And this is when your body goes into a stage of dysregulation. When something's about to happen or has happened, you often take a sharp intake of breath where you stop and your breath catches you and you don't know what to do. Now, in that small moment when you take a sharp intake of breath, your body and your mind are deciding which route you're going to go. Are you going to go into fight or to flight mode? And that sharp intake of breath is where your body is preparing itself to allow you to then deal with which stage you're going to go. So holding your breath or that shallow breathing is sometimes can be seen as your body's way of coping, how to deal with that instantly moment of stress of whatever is happening or about to go on. And that's when you can then decide if you're going to run or stand up and fight. So looking at some manageable stress levels and obviously in burnout. So we all have some levels of resilience that help us manage life's challenges, and we all have our own level of what's manageable and what's too much. So everyone is different. From parent carer forums, it's easy to see how we can become overloaded and reach burnout. We take on too much often, most of the time, because we want to help and care for others naturally. And this can then also lead to long-term chronic stress, can be damage to your physical and your mental well-being. So particularly in forums where there can be over-reliance on one or two particular members that will take on too much, then they will often get to that stage of burnout, and you get in that cycle every few years where the constant demand and pressures just get too much for you. Also got to remember as well your body's natural reaction to this stress and burnout. Also, when your blood flow is going only to the most important muscles needed for that fight or flight syndrome, your brain function is then minimalised. This obviously leads to the inability that you can't think straight, you can't react straight, and then you're in that state of hindrance both in your work and in your home life as well, because you're not functioning right because you're at burnout and stress. Obviously, it also affects your elevated cortisol levels, obviously increases high blood sugar and blood pressure levels as well, so it's not a healthy state to be in. So we're going to take a look at some of the signs of stress. Let's take a look at first of the cognitive signs, so obviously things how it can impact and how it can present, which you may not realise. So you could be issuing having some memory problems, constantly worrying, forgetfulness and disorganisation. There could be some poor judgment going on, inability to concentrate and focus. A good old phrase of brain fog, where you're not quite fully aware of what or why or what's going on inside your brain. Indecision, self-doubt, and obviously thoughts racing, which can suddenly switch off as well, and also some degree of pessimism going on. So looking at the emotional signs as to how that's also going to present, obviously in terms of depression, could be agitated, frustrated or moody, irritable, panicky, element of cynicism going on, could be anxiety, feeling overwhelmed, feel like you're losing control, obviously over emotional and tearfulness, or equally the opposite and being aggression, impatient, difficult relaxing or calming your thoughts. You could be afraid, and also low esteem and worthlessness. So also in this, you need to recognise your own signs of stress. So the physical signs, as well as how it may present, is obviously in terms of low energy and constant tiredness, insomnia. You could be having chest pains or rapid heart beating, lots of aches and pains and tension, constant colds because your immune system is down, you're not looking after yourself, so there could be skin complaints, indigestion, high blood pressure, could happen some panic attacks. You could be clenching your jaw, grinding your teeth unbeknownst to you. You could be feeling sick, dizzy or fainting, shallow breathing, hyperventilating, blurred eyesight or sore eyes, and also nervousness and shaking. And also the behaviour signs. How do we react at times when we're stressed? Sometimes we can react completely out of character, or we could be permanently in that state of stress. So a lot of people sometimes can take to obviously more alcohol to have that temporary masking feeling of feeling better. Alcohol, cigarettes, food intake, caffeine, anything to comfort you, to relax you. You could tend to isolate yourself from others because you don't want to be mixing with others. Your sleeping patterns could be erratic. You'd be sleeping too much or too little. Demotivated, loss of sense of humour, losing perspective in things, and a lack of creativity. Also restlessness, snappy, short-tempered, avoidance or procrastination. Again, eating, like we said, eating too much or eating too little. Then obviously fidgeting, maybe fidgeting, you can't keep still, you're restless, drumming your fingers, tapping your feet, fidgety legs, nail biting. All these are signs of recognition, obviously, of stress that you need to be quite mindful of. How often do we feel like this as well? Obviously, you hate the moment when you're so tired and sleepy, but as soon as you go to bed, your body is like, nope, just kidding. Your brain switches on, your body's exhausted, but your brain will not switch off. Sometimes people have said, you know, keep a notebook at the side of the bed or something. If you can empty your head and clutter your mind, then you might be a little bit more helping yourself to sleep better. And this as well, obviously, in terms of looking after your body, obviously you do need to eat more than one vegetable a week. So also being aware of obviously the emotions that come into obviously stress and resilience, obviously emotions that can sometimes hold us back. There's emotions of guilt and fear and shame. So where are you on your priority list? You know, we deserve to be happy, we deserve a rest, but we always come bottom of the list because we naturally care and put others first. So parent carers, as we know, we are most amazing people. We naturally give, we do so much, but sometimes we take on board too much and people see us coping and surviving, so we take on board more, and that's when we don't recognise our time when we're approaching burnout and stress, and that's when we do obviously our body's reminders obviously that we need to probably step back, or you need to put yourself on the priority list somewhere a bit higher at times. You know, it's important to say it's time for me. Also as well, you really need to remember, obviously you need to fit your own oxygen mask first before you fit others. That's fight or flight mode, but you're no use to anybody else unless you're not recharged. If you don't recharge your battery, you're going to run flat. So it's important to take time for yourself. So now is the moment, hopefully you've all been waiting for, if you're still awake. We're about to have an exercise of eating some chocolate. So I hope you all have armed and ready your desired object of chocolate, either something you can unwrap, or if you're feeling healthy, a banana. So if you just want to approach this exercise with a bit of an open mind, a little bit of curiosity maybe. There's no rights or wrongs to this, just your own individual experience, but it's an exercise just to savour the moment and just to appreciate what is there in front of you. So there's no rushing with this, please. You need to just follow these instructions and obviously just enjoy this experience. So I want you to take your piece of chocolate and have a look at it. So have a look at the wrapper. What's on the wrapper? Look at the colours on the wrapper. Look at the writing on the wrapper. Take a look at the ingredients. Make sure it's in date. So does the wrapper make a sound? What colour is it? Where did it come from? Now slowly, very slowly, unwrap that piece of chocolate to take the wrapper off, taking note of the noise, the sound. How are you feeling? Have you got that sense of anticipation? Do you want to immediately put that chocolate in your mouth, but you need to hold off? So what emotions are going on at the moment while that anticipation is building up? So take a look at the chocolate. The chocolate's hopefully in your hand at the moment and not in your mouth. So look at the chocolate. How does it feel? What's the texture? Is it heavy? Does it shine? Is the light bouncing off it? Now smell the chocolate. Just smell the chocolate slowly. Close your eyes and take a smell and a breath of that chocolate and see what senses are kicking in with you. So where do you feel that sense of smell and that sense of anticipation? So slowly put that piece of chocolate in your mouth and rest it on your tongue, but do not chew. Just let it sit on your tongue for a few moments. So how does that feel? Where in your mouth can you taste that chocolate? Can you taste that consistency? Is it starting to melt? So what's happening in your mouth at the moment? What's going on inside your mouth with your teeth, your tongue, your lips as it slowly melts? So move that chocolate around your mouth slowly. Does the area of taste change, or does the taste itself change? What is happening to the chocolate now? How do you feel? Are you tempted to chew? Are you still sucking? Do you want to swallow the chocolate? Just focus on that sensation at the moment. Is there a lingering taste there? It's okay, now swallow. If you haven't already done, then enjoy that chocolate going down. And just tap into your senses, how you feel. How do you feel physically and emotionally now that you've actually finally eaten that piece of chocolate? Just take a few moments just to consider that experience of slowly eating a piece of chocolate. So what I'm hoping from this, obviously you can experience, was that more intense? Was it frustrating? Was it more pleasurable? Now, was you aware of different emotions during this exercise? Would this change your future experience of eating chocolate again? It's all about trying to savour and enjoy and to live in that moment a bit and to take some time out to appreciate what is fully there in front of you. So just remember that next time you eat that piece of chocolate, to enjoy the experience. Don't rush it. Give yourself that guilty pleasure of taking 5 minutes out to enjoy the whole experience. So following on from that, I'm just going to just again encourage you to just be looking at savouring every little moment that you can. If you imagine if you're standing in this little field here, full of meadow, full of flowers. If you imagine if you're standing in a field of flowers, what would you smell? How would it feel if it's a summer's day? Would you feel the warm sun on you? Would you feel the heat on your skin? Would you feel the breeze? How does that feel on your skin? What do you hear? Do you hear the bird song in the distance? Do you hear the bees buzzing? Just a little, take time out and just enjoy the moment, obviously around you, and obviously to live in that moment and enjoy and savour it. Other things that you can enjoy, just simple things, just to take some time out. Next time you're washing your hair, for example, or having a bath, enjoy that whole experience, and particularly if you're drawing a bath, that whole pleasurable experience of actually being able to take a bath undisturbed possibly is a sanctuary for some. But the whole experience of drawing a bath, what are you going to prepare? What are you going to take in there with you? Are you going to be armed with your favourite book, with a glass of wine possibly? Are you going to put some candles in there? Or if you're having a shower, savour that moment, that first step when you take a step underneath the shower and that water just pours all over you when you put your head underneath the shower. Savour those moments when you're putting your shampoo on. How does that shampoo feel? That lather going on your hair, that smell, that instantly changes your mood, like when you first immerse yourself into the bath as well. Savour those moments. We've mentioned the chocolate, but also similar, you can do similar things with your first cup of coffee, your cup of tea, your glass of wine. Take time out to savour it, enjoy it, smell it, taste it, live in the moment. Also this, how good does it feel to get into freshly made bed and clean sheets? All those things that you anticipate, that you enjoy, that your little guilty pleasures, it's just trying to teach you just to enjoy them that little bit more and live in that moment. Stop rushing around and being so busy, and just take time out and enjoy the moment. A very lovely quote that as well, isn't it? If you don't make time for your wellness, you'll be forced to make time for your illness. So we're going to have a little look at some 5 steps to well-being, and hopefully you can help you to feel a bit more positive, reduce your stress and your health, and to get the most out of life. We're looking at different ways that you can look at connecting, how you can connect with others. At the moment, we've all been forced to connect virtually. We're forced to connect with different equipment, with different devices, with different Zooms, with different FaceTimes to make sure you're connecting to people. But also just don't forget the power of just picking up the phone and talking, and just speak to someone, hear their voice, when you're able to, arrange to meet up with someone, talk face to face, arrange that meeting, go for a walk to get that fresh air, but to connect with people. So important to not be isolated, but to talk to people and to really listen to people. When someone's talking to you, don't just rush through the conversation. Take time to listen to them, hear what they're saying. Pick up the phone and speak to someone you've not spoken to for a while, and actually listen to what's going on in their life. Take time out. It's again about living in the moment, but also being there for others, and you're also distracting yourself from your own issues that are going on, and you're talking for other people as well. Simple things, like put time out to be with the family, sit around the table at the end of the day and talk together. Take the equipment and devices away if it's at all possible. Switch off the TV, talk good old-fashioned board games or something. Do something that helps you connect with people, and make the most of that technology that's available to connect and to talk, to make sure people aren't isolated. But equally, you need to give yourself permission to disconnect. Reduce yourself time from those that are being negative, to those people that drain your energy, those people that are very negative, that are always possibly moaning or whinging, that they can't seem to dig themselves out of their own holes, that sometimes they take everything from you and give nothing back. You need to start learning sometimes to say no to others and to say yes, particularly if it's your mother-in-law as well, especially if they're continually draining and challenging you. It's okay to say no. Obviously, make sure you take time to say yes to yourself. Again, I think most of us relate to this one. We're on Zooms or team meetings or go-tos at the moment, where everybody just seems to be frustrated with the technology, but this is quite appropriate. So another way of looking at taking care of yourself is being active. Again, none of this is rocket science, but it's obvious ways of helping to take care of yourself. So obvious things where possible, obviously if things are back to normal, take the stairs or take the lift. Lunchtime to go out for a walk, perhaps meet with a friend so you can connect, get outside, change your scenery, change your four walls, particularly if you're working from home at the minute. It's vital to get outside, to get some fresh air, and to get that heart pumping as well, to go out and be active and do something. I mean, different people have different options. You might want to do something more passive and some yoga or something, or you might be more of an adrenaline junkie and you want to go out and do kickboxing and full body impact, but do something that elevates that heartbeat, to make you feel alive and get that adrenaline pumping. There's lots of online exercise classes at the moment, so obviously there's lots of stretches you can do, but just remember, obviously you do need some exercise just to keep your body going, keep your body challenged, but to get those endorphins pumping as well, that feel good factor, those chemicals pumping around in your body to help you feel better. You'll be happy to know you're not going to be doing yoga or stretches on this session as well. There's no need to leave your chairs. Also look at keep learning, challenge yourself, get outside your comfort zone. There's so many people I've heard that have actually gone out and starting to do masters and degrees and studying to better themselves at the moment. Do something that you can learn a new skill, sign up for a new class, take up a new hobby, do something that's going to distract you, take you away from your cares and your worries, and concentrate on being in the moment. Challenge your brain, keep your brain ticking over. Maybe do a crossword, a drawing, let's say painting, baking, but do something different. Learn a new language, learn new words. Do something that's going to keep your brain active and keep your brain occupied, and focus on you, so you can have some time out to go and do something that you can help learn to better yourself. Also giving. Never underestimate the power of giving. Like as it says here, individuals who are reported a greater interest in helping others are obviously more likely to rate themselves as happy. And if you continue to act that kindness once a week over a 6-week period, it's associated with an increase in well-being. So look at different things that you can do to give in. I mean, we all give as carers, as parents, as volunteers. We give unconditionally, continually, all the time, but do something that can give a little bit back, maybe. Help that family friend or member. Do that kind gesture of helping someone across the road, or supporting someone, coaching, mentoring something. Do something that gives, that you don't expect anything back in return. Offering your time as volunteers, as we know, we often do that. Maybe giving something back to the community in a different way. Declutter. declutter your house, give some things to charity, empty some space, clear some space, all the clothes donations, there's food donations going on at the minute, different toy donations, so there's always opportunities to give something for others that are more in need. Also give you skills and experiences if you need to. You know, there's different people and different support groups and different things out there that are crying out for multi-skilled parents like we all are, so look at how you can offer your help in different ways. And obviously it gives that greater sense of satisfaction. You're giving something to help others. You know, how often does it feel when you get that bit of praise and that criticism, and just a thank you can just speak volumes, and a smile at the end of the day. So also looking at, like we say, is living in the present. You know, you need to take notice, take time to enjoy the moment of what's happening now. Don't worry about what's going to be happening in the future or what's happened in the past. You need to focus on now in different ways of obviously how you can live in the present. Again, a simple thing, obviously, if you are in an office or a desk, obviously change your office environment. You know, get a plant for starters, or some different office equipment, some different pens or a different chair, but make your space around you relevant to you, where you can treat yourself and it's a nice view of where you're looking, if possible, what your environment is. It's not a hostile working environment. Take different routes to work. I know it's different if you're working from home, moving from bedroom to the lounge or something. That's not quite appropriate at the minute, but when people are back to some kind of normality, change a different route, take a different journey, notice different things on your journey. Take notice of how your family, your friends and colleagues are feeling or acting. Really listen to them when they're talking. Listen and learn, not just that quick 2-minute conversation. Take time out, because they may be trying to tell you things that you're not hearing. Have that clear the clutter day. Like we say, clearing clutter can be very, very therapeutic, and obviously often can help the others as well. People obviously less in need. Visiting new places for lunch. You know, don't stick to your normal, don't stick to your consistent routine, try something different, break the norm, you know, try something different, try new food, and then enjoy obviously what is going on around you, to practice that mindfulness as well. There's a lovely quote here, as it says, well, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is the gift. So that is why we call it the present. Obviously, you also need to look at obviously giving yourself time in situations as well. Obviously, if you have had a situation where you've actually been absolutely completely burnt out and overloaded and stressed, it's very difficult to pick yourself up and to start back over again. So you need to give yourself time to get over any difficult and stressful situations. And everybody responds differently. So how you feel about a situation is one thing, but other people may interpret it differently, and how you respond to it obviously is a different way as well, if it's going to that fight or flight mode, or if you're stuck in a freeze, which can sometimes happen. But eventually, obviously, for your own sake, let's say you need to move on, you need to live in the present and obviously focus on what's happening now and stop dwelling possibly on things in the past that you've not been able to possibly have as much influence or impact on that you may have hoped. Love to practice some positive thinking, you know, taking that time out, trying to do something that you can do that works for you. Not everybody likes mindfulness or exercise, but do something that works for you. Like I say, get a hobby, do something to distract you, to make you feel better, to make you feel more valued. And obviously make yourself, you can give yourself this little chant mantra that obviously you are good at this and obviously you can deal with this. And also look at maintaining that balance, which is vital. I know it's easier said than done when we are so stressed out, and at times obviously our lives are presented with many challenges, but you need to try and take time. You need to make time for yourself, obviously make time for your family, obviously make time for your forum roles. You need to make time for obviously people in your forum to make sure they're being supported. So make sure that obviously you're thinking and reflecting on things. You're not just continually being reactive all the time, but also make time for some fun and laughter and relaxation. And also, where possible, we need to sleep sometimes as well. So let's look at some top tips for stress busters. How can we deal with stress busters? So one of the best ways obviously is also having some fun. You know, do something that's going to make something that's going to make you laugh. Watch a funny video, watch a funny film, where possible, go out, have some time with friends when things get relaxed with the different restrictions. Go see a comedian, listen to somebody online, Learn to laugh at yourself, learn to laugh at your own shortcomings, do something with others that's going to help you laugh and learn to actually laugh a day. I mean, do they say that children laugh over 500 times a day? But I think adults, you know, you're lucky if it's 5 times a day sometimes. So do something that's going to make you laugh. Do something with the kids, let the kids see you having fun rather than being stressed, burnt out mum or parent all the time, or, you know, burnt out dad. Then do something together. You know, we often encourage them when they're little to have that messy play, to encourage them senses and stimulate things. But when we get older, we're continually telling them to stop being messy, tidy up, put away. But sometimes just live in the moment, join in the fun. You know, if they're going to go out in the rain and jump in the puddles and have a messy play, then join in with them. Things can get tidied up later on. You know, but just live in the moment. You know, it's nice autumn out there, go out there and kick the leaves or do something fun with the kids if they're able to. But just to let them see the fun side of you, not just the burnt out, stressed side of you, or that overload parent. Then looking at your circle here, your circle of support, obviously develop that circle of support with other parent carers. As we all know, our circles change often, but our friends and families become different people who we don't normally choose, but we have a whole new circle of friends that support us during our lives and journeys as parent carers. And also learn to say no. The lady here with the arms crossed, she's actually saying no. Learn to say no to people, learn to say no to yourself and to other situations as well. You need to be more, sometimes, you know, put yourself first. And give yourself time, like it says, give yourself time to make sure you are in that daily rota. You know, we sometimes our lives are led by that rota, but make sure you are in that rota as well in that time. And if all else fails, like it says, there's always a little bit of lipstick to put on if all else fails, or your favourite shoes or your favourite clothes or something, but do something that's going to make you feel good on that day. Even if you are just going to go across the room and put the computer on, then do something that's going to make you feel good. So who's in your support network? Obviously, we touched on this obviously, but it's vital to make sure you have got the right people that support you, and everybody serves a different purpose in our lives. We have different friends that we go to for different things. We have that objective person that we know we can go to that can reground us and put some boundaries in place and tell us if we're right or wrong. Look at some of that professional development, how you can actually learn something like saying better yourself. Look at what emotional support you can get. Who is giving that from you? Do you get that from your friends and family, or from your husband, your spouse, your wife? Who's giving that emotional support that you need? Look at the group support that's available. There are different support groups out there. Sometimes it's hard to reach out, but when you do, it can be really valued. So look at what available help and support you can get. Family and friends, again, you know, draw on those people that are there. You need to be able to reach out and ask for help, because we are not superwoman. We do burn out. Look at your online activity. There's lots of social media groups, lots of social media platforms that you can communicate and chat and connect to. And just make sure you're having some positivity in there as well. There's conversations with people. It's good to offload, it's good to have fun, but also focus on the positives that are going on as well in your life, not just the negatives. And like you say, try and get that element of fun in your life as well. Sometimes it really does help. The different ways of obviously how you can look at dealing with stress. So looking how you can connect with people. So connect with the right people, distance yourself from the wrong people. You know, the people that drain your energy, you don't need to be mixing with them as much. The people that obviously help support you, your go-to people, make sure you've got your support network right. Look at how you're eating. You know, we've all turned to different comfort food at the moment, you know, to get us through the situations, but obviously healthy food, healthy balance, healthy exercise, all the things that we know that we practice to our kids that we need to practice and preach ourselves as well. So make sure you're looking at how you're managing yourself. And declutter, like we say, declutter, clear out, unclutter your wardrobe, your boxes, your toolboxes, your drawers, unclutter your head at night time, and look at how you can give away to charity and help and support, and develop a little bit of gratitude of attitude. You know, some people have a gratitude diary to help them reflect on things. It works for some, not for others. So let's have a look at just some top tips for staying healthy during COVID, for whatever period we're still left in lockdown and our restrictions we're just coming into. So looking at learning to just say no. You don't need to justify it. You don't need to evidence it. You can just say no, simply no. Look at planning your time into the day. Noticing what stresses you out, also being mindful of what does stress you out and how you can impact that. Remember, you do you, no one else tells you what to do. You know, you need to make sure that you can obviously organise and challenge yourself and obviously prioritise yourself. And also fact checks. Want to put in there, also just be mindful as well, obviously. Sometimes we get overloaded with the facts and the emotions of things, and the emotions can overrule the issue. So it's mindful to sometimes to try and have that objective view from someone, to take the emotions out and look at the facts, which can often simplify situations once those emotions are taken away from it. Stay connected to people. Make sure you're reaching out and asking for help. So being positive. You know, it's great to be positive. There's a lot of things that it's one of them basic needs we're missing out at the minute, where we're not connecting to people, where we're not having compliments or praise or recognition and reward. Same with our kids, you know, where they weren't in school, you know, they Star of the Week award and things like that. You know, it does you wonders to get that self-confidence boosted and that self-esteem, to get that recognition. But, you know, compliment somebody, smile, you know, do something that's going to make people feel good, just to boost their self-esteem and confidence. Take care of your body. As we all know, we need to eat healthy, eat right, exercise, but you do need to obviously just do something to look after you as well. And give yourself permission to do all of the above and to just say no as well. We're going to take a look at some resources that are available here. So there's been quite a few resilience things that have been done by forums over the last 6 months, and webinars that you can find on the website. There's quite a few forums. There's one there from Rotherham Forum that have done some really good, useful tips. We do have the DARE resource and resilience workshops that Parent Care Forums, I think, have been delivered, but that is also available. Lots of other webinars and associated resources obviously on the Contact website to check into, as well as the COVID information on the website. Lots of information though, which is updated, I think, daily on the COVID for the guidance, your national guidance from Department for Education, NHS England and so forth. Also a reminder of the assistance programme that's out there for active forum members. There's a whole host of resources and information there that obviously we can tap into and support if we need be. So remember just to take a look on that if you do need it. And then what else is available on the Contact website too? Obviously there's other services that you may not be aware of that could help us support you as well, not just the families and friends and people that we do signpost to, ourselves as well can benefit on these. So there is the Contact one-to-one listening ear service, so that's something where you can book an hour's free appointment with an associate, and you can pick up the phone and just scream and offload if you need to, or you can do more specialist one-to-one advice if you've got more specific issues, if you want to speak to somebody confidentially, if you can't get through to the helpline. There's also the Contact's new closed Facebook page, the private Facebook page. I think that started at the beginning of March. It's now got over 3,000 members to it, and it's a really good wealth of information and support for parents and families, as well as for us as well, for connecting and being in touch with others. So don't forget your Contact helpline, as well as all the workshops that have been delivered as well, which we recommend to families, but you know, they're worth jumping on yourself sometimes, as well as a refresher for the well-being, sleepy behaviour and the money matters. And again, Contact website is there for help and support, as well as don't forget your regional advisors, your regional advisors, your other neighbouring parent care forums as well to turn to if you've got links with different social media and Facebook pages to keep linked and connected. So I think we're now got to a stage where I can stop and take a breath, see if there's any questions that any of you want to ask. I think there is a facility that you can raise your hand or chat or communicate to us, obviously, in there if you did want to ask. And I think Sue's popped in there, so hi, Sue.
Hello, thank you. It's lovely. Well, we have had just a few comments. I meant to say earlier that you could ask questions, so please do have a look. The questions is one of the range of options, so you can just type them there. But we have had a few comments mostly that I thought I'd just share with you, Karen. So one, when you were going through the stress stuff, somebody said that a lot of those symptoms are similar to the menopause.
Yes.
Which is
yes, yeah, just that one. Yep.
With a face.
Yes.
And somebody else said, really inspiring, uplifting webinar, thank you. Somebody else has asked if we're going to be sharing the slides on this. It is actually recorded this, and we're going to be putting it on the Contact website with all the other webinars, in the participation pages. So if you want to pick that up or share that with your forum members, you can do that. Somebody's asked if they can if we can show the kick slide at the end. So I don't know if that's possible. They obviously want to read it. But what I would say is if you just contact your advisor, there's an email that tells you how to log on, how to register all of your steering group members there. And the other thing is, as part of that is, I think it's 8 steering group members can access counselling. So that's another kind of thing just to remind people. Somebody said, I couldn't wait and scoffed my chocolate. Sorry, ha ha ha. I must say I had mine open before you said now open chocolate. I was like, then that just shows you, doesn't it, Karen, how important it is and how much more I enjoyed it for you taking me through it. So a lesson learned there. Has anybody got any other questions apart from the ones that come up that they would like? As I say, there are lots of sort of resources on our website, and we will be putting this up there. And there are some other resources and things there. And there's a frequently asked questions. So if we get any, any other questions as we finish up here, and they haven't been answered by the webinar, we can always add them to that frequently asked questions from the previous webinar that we did on this, if that's okay.
I think as well we want to ask people as well, if they're happy or comfortable, just to share something in the chat, just to put some comments about if you've got any of your own tip for stress busters, top tips to share. How do you relax? It'd be interesting just to see if you're happy to share, or just pop a one word, a few comments in there. We'd like to hear from you too. So please feel free to do that. It's been great to hear the comments as well. And I think it's great that all those symptoms are familiar with the menopause as well. I think, yes, it's a very, I think we need to add that one to the slide, I think.
Yeah. All right, we've got a couple here. Gin. Warm bath.
Yep.
Singing with Alexa at top volume while cooking. Oh.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cosplaying. Now, I'm not sure I know what cosplaying is. You might have to explain that. Is that where you dress up?
I know who that one's from as well, actually. Yes, I think I can put that down to which form that one's from. Yes, so thank you for that comment.
Take time to self-care. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah.
Any more? Top tips for stress busting. I've got one I'll share. Okay. And that's when I'm walking the dog, just as a sort of random thing to do. You said about giving. If I see a dog poo that is around, I just pick it up, because I just think, how much better is someone's day going to be if they don't stand in that? So, and I know a lot of dog walkers do that. And also it reduces your guilt, that you might have missed a couple. So there you are, random act of
and that's your good deed for the day, and as well, you're giving a little bit of something back, aren't you, there? So that's good.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like a community service. Okay, I think that's most of the ones. So if anybody has any questions, if you want to put any more in there, it's absolutely fine. And if they're not answered by this, we'll answer those afterwards. But it just remains for me to say thank you to everyone who's joined us this evening as part of this, and I hope you've got some things to take away, or some time just to think, actually maybe I do need to just spend some time thinking about myself. I've definitely really enjoyed it myself, Karen. So thank you very much, and thank you to all the parent carer forums for all the amazing work that you do, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Oh, and I hope you will also enjoy some of the other sessions we've got as part of the conference all this week.
Okay. No, lovely. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for your support tonight, Sue and Helen in the background. So, and just don't forget, everybody, just don't forget to wash your hands and stay safe, please. So it's been lovely. Hoping you've had some time out just to relax and just reflect, and hopefully you've just learned something from tonight, just to remind yourself how important you all are. So thank you very much.